Hello, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the session on necessary evil. And I hope you're all doing good. Yeah, I can see we're all set, and I hope everybody can hear me loud and clear. Yeah, hi, Maria. And okay, that's good. So lots of you. I see you're good and ready, and the way the chats are coming up, and that's good. You can always use the chat box. You can react to things. You can share your personal opinion. The session today is also very important, and though it's not taught in many management institutions, it's something of vital importance for. It's something we cannot do without, and we call it necessary evil. So let's just take a look. Is there anybody here who has an idea about what necessary evil is all about? Yeah, good evening, everybody, as you're coming in. Yeah, good evening. Does anybody have an idea what necessary evil is all about? Yeah, because I remember that this particular my lessons, I realized you give me more than I expect. So I'm even wondering if you do not already know everything about necessary evil. But anyway, I have to give it a try. Yeah, good evening, everyone. Okay, it appears most of us do not um, have much to say about necessary evil. Um, okay, Rahul says taking decisions that's against professional ethics. Wow, Rahul. Um, well, we'll go to that again. I think what you've said is also covered in this session. So we're going to look at that in detail. But that's a great try. You keep that up. I like it when people try and say what they know. It's very important. Okay, so let's start with the slides, and I believe everybody can see the slides. They board very well. Um, I'll start by asking you, consider a recent professional situation in which you had to cause harm to another person in order to fulfill your job's responsibilities or perform your duties. Can you consider that? What did you do? What happened? Any recent professional situation in which you had to cause harm to another person in order to fulfill your job responsibilities or perform your duties? Is there anybody who has something to say about that? Now, this harm could be emotional, it could be material, it could be physical. Examples of such situation will include things like delivering a bad news. That's an example. When you deliver a bad news, does the person clap for you or jump around in excitement? Not necessary. Um, Firing someone. If you fire someone or someone is fired, it's never a good experience, isn't it? Conducting a layoff. Now the company decides to downsize, they have to conduct a layoff. Performing a painful medical procedure. I believe there are some people here who work in the medical field. So, but we're going to look at examples from a couple of different angles. And delivering negative news during a performance review. How do you tell your colleague or how do you tell a subordinate that you do not perform as per the company's expectations and things that are not very good to hear? And terminating a contract or maybe evicting a tenant. Have you ever evicted a tenant? Maybe you own an apartment or a building, and then there are tenants, and maybe one of the tenants cannot pay his or her bills, and then you have to evict the tenant. Maybe as a police, maybe as an individual, I don't know. How do you feel about that? Now, I know so many people are going to be wondering, how does this come into management? We're going to look at that as we move on. So what is necessary evil then? From this little example we've just seen, the explanation, what do you think necessary evil is? So Rahul, can you take a second try? Well, everyone can try, not just Rahul. From what we just saw, can you guess what necessary evil is all about? Come on, just try it, guys. It doesn't hurt. Okay. Roshan says it's a food and a basic necessity. Necessary evil is food. Hello, Roshan. Are you with us? You were talking about necessary evil, and you say it is food and basic necessities. I don't understand why you say that. What do you mean by it's food and our basic necessity? In the meantime, others can try to chat and add more to it, because we need money to buy food and other things. So you think food and basic necessities are necessary evil? Food is not an evil. I don't know why you say food is an evil. Okay, I'm going to take my video out so the quality of be good. Okay, well, not evil, but that's okay. Prabha says job. Of course it's a job. Okay, let's look at the screen. Okay, Roshan says, actually, I meant money and ended up typing food. Okay, well, that can happen. Your mind is thinking of one thing and then your hands are typing something else. They are very, very different, actually. Okay, Anish, that's okay. Okay, let's look at what I have on the board, on your screen. Just go to your screen. That's the definition of necessary evil. And I'd like everybody, I suggest everyone take it down, because we're going to do a lot of analysis on this definition. And we're going to see how it's different from evil. Now, this definition says a necessary evil, this is a work-related task in which an individual must, again, there is a must, as part of his or her job, perform an act that causes emotional or physical pain and discomfort to another human being in the service of achieving some perceived greater good or purpose. I'd like everyone to take the pains to write this down. Most of us, we don't like our managers, we don't like the experiences we're getting, they're doing things we're not comfortable with, and we also act in a way that is not very comfortable to others. But we have to be able to differentiate necessary evil from evil. And that is part of management responsibility, without which some of our conscience keep hunting us, down. So we have to be clear what necessary evil is and what evil is when it comes to managing humans and when it comes to working for other people or with other people. Okay, are we done with the definition? Again, I'm going to take the definition all over, and I'm going to stress where I'd like you to pay attention. A work-related task. Again, work-related task in which an individual must, so the word must, as part of his or her job, perform an act that causes emotional or physical pain and discomfort to another human being in the service of achieving some perceived, greater good or purpose. It's also important. Okay, let's go on to see where this fits. So I want to ask a question before I move to the next slide. Is there anybody here who has ever performed a necessary evil? Or let me put it the other way around. Is there anybody who has never performed a necessary evil? Just indicate. If you have, so you just say, I have. If you haven't, you say, okay, like Anish says, never, sir. Okay, Anish, you say you've never performed a necessary evil. Okay, Prabha says, Prabha Bhatti, is it a male or female name? Mima says never. Female. Okay, Prabha. Okay. You say you perform necessary evil. Okay. Come on, guys, just tell us if you have. Roshan says, from what I can understand of this paragraph, and examples would be firing someone from his or her job. So I am understanding it correctly. Now, it's not just firing someone. That is one of the reasons. You're right. Firing someone is a necessary evil. I'm going to explain in detail. Shakur says, I second with Anish, never experienced. Okay, we're going to find out if it's actually true. Roshan says, okay, that's fine. It's clear. Now, I believe that all of you, all of us, have performed necessary evil in one way or the other. When I explain it in detail, we can understand. So those who say they've never, I'm still going to ask you the same question at the end of the lesson, and let's find out if it's going to be the same answer. Now, the next slide, let's look at a data for necessary evil. We look at the different professions, just few of them anyway. As a manager, an executive, what do? You performing layoffs. That is a necessary evil. Why do you perform a layoff? Maybe the company is facing some financial difficulties, financial crisis. You want to downsize. Now, the question I'm asking you, when you conduct a layoff, those people who are going to lose their jobs, do you think they will be emotionally happy about it? It's a question? No. So you're causing them emotional pain. You get it? And maybe not only these people will suffer because they're going to lose their job. They have children who go to school. They have family, some of them. And then you see how many people, it becomes a ripple effect. So many people get to pay the price for laying off an employee. So you can understand. But what is the intention of laying off the employee? Is it because you don't like the employee? No. You're laying off for a greater good because the company is suffering. If you do not lay off some employees, the company might not survive. So you're laying employees off for a greater good so the company can stand again back on its feet. So that is a necessary evil because your job as a manager, again, you go back to the definition, it says it is part of your job responsibility. Your job as a manager and an executive is to protect the company and take the company to productivity, to profitability. So if you think more employees, it's going to become a problem to the productivity of the company and the life of the company will be threatened, then it is your job responsibility to do whatever it takes to keep the company alive. So performing a layoff is a necessary evil that managers and executives have to do. Another example is delivering performance appraisal. When you deliver a performance appraisal that somebody doesn't perform very well as expected and things like that, do you think it's always good when I tell you, if somebody tells you, hey, for example, Roshan, you've not been performing so well, you're unable to complete the assigned task, we don't think you're ready or you're competent enough, how would you feel? Well, I'm not saying it's true, it's just an example. Maybe it's a weird example. Or we can turn it all around me. You could be, Roshan is my manager and he's giving me a review about my performance as a teacher and why. And then you think, Mr. Jude, I think your materials are not good, they are not relevant, the students do not learn anything from your session, and we think you have to do something about it. If not, maybe, you get it. Do you think I'm going to feel happy? Of course, it's the truth. You're performing your job as a manager to review performance appraisal, to review my performance. And by doing your job, you're causing me some emotional pain. It's very embarrassing, like Maria says. That's it. You get it. So that is a necessary evil. That is part of your job. You're just doing your job. You must do your job rightly. So that is considered a necessary evil. And they may be punishing an employee or maybe reprimanding. You know what is reprimanding, right? To officially tell somebody that they've done something wrong. Like you send a warning letter to somebody, to an employee. That is reprimanding. Officially, it doesn't feel good. So that is just a few examples for managers and executives. Now, the next example will be for police officers. I hope we don't have police officers here, or do we? Well, whatever. Even if we do, it's important. When you evicting people from their homes, you receive instructions from the police department or from wherever, from the court, to evict people from their homes. What do you think is happening? You get these people out. Do you think the people will be happy? Maybe they don't have a place to stay. They're out there with the kids in the cold. Again, that is part of your job. You're just performing your job. You get it? So you're causing these people psychological, emotional, pain. But you're not doing it because you like to do it. You're not doing it because you just want to see them in pain. You're doing it because that is part of your job. But by doing your job, you're causing other people pain. So that is called necessary evil. It could be maybe repossessing property, maybe confiscating property or taking properties from people and things like that. So that is necessary evil. Let's look at another example. pediatrics, physician. When you're delivering bad news, for example, you have to tell a parent, a mother, or give a bad news about your children or things like that. Do you think the parents will be happy to hear that news? Oh, your child has a cancer, for example, is suffering from a cancer, or has a tumor, or has some heart problem. Do you think the parents are happy to hear that? They're not. But again, you're doing your job. So when we're going to look at all of this, and then performing a painful procedure, that's also, it causes pain, but again, that is part of your job, and it is for a greater good. You're doing it now, it hurts, but it's for a greater good. And the last example I brought, there are so many others which you can try to figure out yourself. It's addiction counselors. For example, some people smoke and they're addicted to cigarette, and then some people take drugs and they're addicted to it. Some people do lots of other things and they get addicted to it. Now, when they meet a counselor, an addiction counselor, you break the people down emotionally in order to rehabilitate them. So that causes a lot of pain. But again, you're doing it for a greater good, because something good will happen to their lives and the society is in general. Okay. Now let's look at norms for expressed emotions during this necessary evil. For example, as a manager, when you're conducting layoff or performing a review, what is expected of you? We expect that you as a manager, you're supposed to be calm, you're supposed to be compassionate, and you're supposed to be serious, isn't it? But again, you know that what you're doing is evil. Yet, we expect you to be calm, we expect you to be compassionate, and we expect you to be serious. But if, as a manager, you show signs of anger, that you're annoyed, you're anxious, you're frustrated, too much compassion, then you're not a good manager. Hello? Okay, that's good. So the next, what is expected again is, for example, a police work. When you're evicting, during an eviction or serving a warrant, you're expected to be confident, serious, and strong. So, but being anxious and uncertain is a taboo. It's not acceptable. Yet, you know that you're hurting people. You know that you're causing pain. But your job expects you to be confident, serious, and strong. And if you show any signs of anxiety or uncertainty, then that is not acceptable. It's considered an unacceptable emotion, emotional expression. In medicine, for doctors, maybe medical procedure or a bad news, again, the doctor is expected, or the health personnel is expected to show compassion and confidence. And it is not acceptable to be angry, to be anxious, to be uncertain, and to be frustrated. Probably you're asking how to act like. I didn't get the question exactly. Is it a question or is it an exclamation, like you put triple exclamation marks? And for an addiction counselor, when you're in a termination, and you have to reprimand, because you have to tell the people, hey, what you're doing is not good. You have to make them officially to stop. And then you're supposed to be calm, but you're also supposed to be angry, show a little bit of anger, a little bit when you reprimand. For example, you tell the people, honestly, this is wrong. And then you're supposed to be compassionate again. After that is the post-reprimand, and at the end, you're supposed to show some compassion to the person, because you know the person is going to be find it difficult to just switch to the new expected behavior. And it's a taboo if you show signs of anxiety, you're anxious, and then you're uncertain as well. Okay, let me go back to the question, is there anybody who has never performed a necessary evil? Mohammed, you said you've never performed a necessary evil. Okay. Rahul, you've never performed a necessary evil. Roshan, you have. Okay, that's fine. Now, those of you who are married or you have children, whether single parent or in a marriage, and Prabhu says I can't do that if I don't like people lying, acting differently. I get very angry. Well, Anisha is not yet, sir, but will perform once I get into management. Well, you don't necessarily have to get into management to perform necessary evil. If you have children, if you have a wife, even at home, we do perform necessary evil. Let me give a very simple example. Maybe you have a child, and the child likes candy. We all know what is candy, isn't it? And children love candy anyway. And would you give candy every day to your child because your child loves candy? Why would you not give candy every day to your child if the child loves candy? What's your reason? Prabhu said, yeah, of course. Okay, Roshan says too much sugar is not good for the child. Okay, any other reason why you wouldn't give candy to them every day? Because we care for them. Okay, Anish? Roshan said their teeth will get spoiled. Okay, Mohammed says is getting addicted. Okay, I need to get some of those reasons so I can put them together and see what we have. You love your child or your children so much. So why would you not give them candy if they really love candy? Rahul says the candy will be a necessary item for the child. So because it's necessary, are you going to give, the question is, are you going to give the candy to the child every day? Anish says too much candy is not good for health, okay? Mohammed says replace it with a fruit. Yeah, that's good, but that is not what the child wants. Why are you replacing it with a fruit? Mohammed says fruit every day. Okay. Well, the child loves candy, but you think fruit is preferable, right? To be healthy, that's good. Prabhu says, I can't hear you. Okay, you can't hear me. Hello? 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 Can you hear me now? Is it okay now? Okay. Now, most of us say we're not going to give candy because they're not good. And now, why are you doing this? You're doing it because as a parent, it is your responsibility to protect your children, isn't it? So that is your job description. You must perform your duty as a parent to protect the children. And if you tell your child that, honey, you said you want candy, but I can't give you candy because candy is not good for your teeth, it's not good for your health. Do you think your child is going to clap for you, wow, my daddy is wonderful, or my mommy is great? Do you think that is what the child would do? What do you think the child would do? The child will get angry, correct? Cry, shout, that's correct, very true. Yeah, the child will cry, is frustrated, not happy. There are lots of reasons, but so what have you just done to the child? You've caused the child pain. You get it? But why are you doing it? You're doing it because there is a greater good. If you give the child a lot of candy, in the future the child's health will be compromised. The child's teeth will be in trouble. So you're refusing, you prefer to cause the child to inflict some pain on the child for a greater good. So that becomes a necessary evil. Because the child is in pain, it becomes something evil. Is that okay? Okay, that's good. Okay, now, what do you think are some of the differences between necessary evil? So, now that we know a little bit about necessary evil, can we try to point out the differences between necessary evil and evil? Okay, Mohammed says, intentions not bad in necessary evil. Okay, that's very good, Mohammed. I really appreciate that. The intention is not bad. It's not evil in necessary evil. That's great. And he says necessary evil comes with a responsibility, but evil comes from free will. That's good. Wow, these guys, you know a lot of these things. That's very good, Anish. There's so many differences. And Saratu says, in the case of necessary evil, we are looking for a better aftermath. Okay, that is a greater good. Later on, the result later on is good. The outcome is good. The aftermath is good. It's better anyway. That's a good word. Better aftermath. And Roshan says, for all the greater good. That's it. What the Prabhupada says, necessary evil is greater, great for company or betterment. I didn't quite copy exactly what that is. Probably there was a typing error. If I try to make sense out of it, you're trying to say necessary evil is good for the company. If the company has to be stable, if the company has to survive, then necessary evil is good. And then if that is what you're trying to say, then I got it. That's great. That's correct. True. And Rahul says one is necessary, other is unnecessary. Okay. Well, that's a very logical way to look at it. He used the words to bring out the difference. That's good, Rahul. And Muhammad says, the evil, let me take this, go back a little bit up. Muhammad says, an evil is to destroy the individual for personal benefit or jealousy. Very good, Muhammad. I hope there are not many Muhammad. I'm talking Muhammad Riyadh. And we have a couple of Prabhupada mean necessary evil is good for, to some extent. Well, that's okay. Okay, let's look at what I have on the board, on the screen. I just had a few differences, but I really wanted you to think about all the differences, which you've done a great job already. I really appreciate that. I like when the class is lively and everyone is participating. It's very encouraging. Okay, just few differences. You can add more of it. So necessary evil and evil. Now, necessary evil is part of your job responsibility or duties, while evil is not part of your job responsibility or duties. And necessary evil, the intention for a greater good, which you already talked about. And then for evil is personal benefits, personal satisfaction. And a necessary evil is not a personal choice sometimes, right? That is what you're supposed to do. That is what you're expected to do. Evil is a personal choice. You just decide to do something. You just want to hurt someone. For those who work, we have some people we call moles. Moles are people who act as spies for the managers. Do you have those kind of people where you work? They are spies for the managers. They come and Roshan says a lot. No? Spies for some managers. How do you categorize them? Is it evil or necessary evil? And again, remember, we are in a management session, so you have to give reasons for your answers. Those who act as spies for the managers, for the executive, they come to you, they're like friends, they have lunch with you together, you tell them a lot of things about yourself, then they take this information back to the manager and tell them this person is planning this person is no? Well, Anish says it is evil, sir, not necessary. Okay. Mohammed says evil. In most cases, it would be just for their own benefit. Okay, that's true. Well, I don't know if it's true. Let me not say it's true because that's what Roshan says. And Maria says evil. Rahul says neutral people. What do you mean neutral people? No? Okay, why do you think it is evil? Why do you think it's evil and not necessary evil? And Mohammed Riyad says managers shouldn't listen to them. Well, that's what you suggest, that's what you think, which we're going to comment on it in a moment. So why do you think these people are evil and not performing necessary evil? Anish says there has to be some free space. I think I'm going to take it up a bit. For employees, we should spy each and every moment. Okay? So you think it's necessary for employees to spy on others. So I'd have to say, in a way, it is necessary. Maybe they check for people who use office resources and time personally, but it is in a lot of cases, I think some are evil because maybe they will only tell on the people they hate. Okay, that's a point. And Mohammed says because it is degrading and other employees degrade the other employees, and if he finds no, that's pretty true. And it says employees are not robots, sir. Well, but again, some of you are trying to defend your position, but others are not. It's good to always say, like Sadatu made it very clear. But again, I have a question for Sadatu. Do you think well, not actually a question, it's a clarification. If it is your job responsibility to spy on other employees and check what they're doing and report to the management, then it is a necessary evil. But if you're trying to win favor from the manager, you want the manager to like you or treat you different and stuff like that, then it becomes pure evil. Okay. Okay, then let's look at the next slide. It's just an exercise, so we're going to do a very short exercise. So take a few minutes to generate 2 or 3 examples from your work experience. Now, those who do not work, you can get an example from your home. It could be between you and your husband, or you and your wife, or your children. Those who work, take an example where you work. But it's better to get examples where you work, because we're looking at it from a management point of view. Sanover says 5:41. Okay, is it the time you're saying? Okay, that's okay. Now then choose the one example that is either the most vivid in your mind or was the most difficult for you to for you personally. Now from these different experiences you've had, try to choose the one that is very vivid, that is very clear. You can remember it very well. And then let's look at it. Now when you have chosen your situation, try to put yourself back in the moment. Bring the details of the settings to mind. Now, where did it take place? At what time of day? What was your state of mind? What were you thinking at the time? What were your feelings at that time? Were you standing or sitting? Just for some more. So, you realize we're all part of the necessary evil exercise. Every now and then, most of us are involved in necessary evil at some point. And again, you shouldn't feel bad. You shouldn't feel embarrassed. You shouldn't feel uncomfortable if you're performing your job as per your job description. But if a manager calls you and say, hello, for example, Sanover, I'd like you to go spy on these employees and bring me some more information because I'm going to use it, you know, it is going to create a good relationship between us, and I'm going to give you a salary increase or whatever, and then you go to give information, negative information about other employees, and that is evil. It's not necessary evil. So if you've had an experience, you don't know whether it's evil or it's necessary evil, we can share that together. If not, let's look at let's continue while you're doing the exercise. I really encourage everyone to do the exercise which we just talked about. Try to go back to it. You get the feelings, and you can now understand that most of your managers, when they fire you, when they give you, when they reprimand you, they're not happy. Sometimes it's very difficult for them. For example, to serve a termination letter to an employee, it's difficult. You sit in your office, you think about the employees, you think about his responsibilities or her responsibilities, and then you have to serve this kind of letter. You have to terminate this kind of employee. It really hurts. But again, once we know that what we are doing is for a greater good for the employee and for the company, then we shouldn't carry, have a mind that is, keeps haunting us on what we've done. We should try and reconcile ourselves with it. Anish, that's okay. Okay, so let's look at the exercise. This is what you're going to do. Prabha says, how we came to know whether it is necessary evil or evil means their intention. Yeah, that is one of the reasons. The intention should be one of the reasons to tell us whether or not an action is a necessary evil or is just evil. That's very good, Prabha. The intention, again, not just intention, but again, is it your responsibility? Are you supposed to do it? Now, let's go back to the case we saw, the case of HR. Do you remember what happened in the case? Who brought the story to Graham? Mrs. Johnson, right? Mrs. Johnson went to Mr. David Graham's office and told him about the relationship, the secret relationship between Lynn Waters and John Palick. Now, the question I'm asking you, I believe everybody read the story, the case. How do you classify Mrs. Johnson's action? Do you think it was evil? Do you think it was necessary evil? What do you think? Sadatu, you didn't. You can send an email to the coordinator through which you have invitation and request the case, and they're going to send you a copy. This case we treated last week, I believe, last week, if I'm not mistaken. Roshan says, Prabha says necessary evil. Roshan says necessary evil. Okay. So, Anish, why is it clapping? Because it's necessary evil? See, everyone is right. Now, the question I'm asking you, Was it Mrs. Johnson's job description? Was it her responsibility to report the affairs between Lynn and John? So why do you say it was necessary evil? Don't just say it is correct. Give me justifications. Roshan said it was not her responsibility. So, but why is everyone saying it is a necessary evil? But when she reported it, it was for the greater good of the company. Okay, Roshan? And Prabha says it's good for BC Metal Company reputation. Okay, so it's okay, you're saying it's a necessary evil because the intention was for the good of the company? I don't know if that's what you're trying to say. You see, maybe Mrs. Johnson has a crush with Panic. I don't know. Now, you see, the most important thing I'm trying to make us, to help us or guide us to do is to be able to analyze our actions as managers. Now, we've gone past the point where we just criticize people, where we look for genuine reasons why we say what we say. Now, most of you say it's necessary evil, but you're not giving me reasons why I should believe it's necessary evil. Okay, Roshan says she was worried for Mrs. Johnson's Lynn Waters' husband, not Mrs. Johnson. Maybe it's a typographic kind of confusion there. Now the question is, we discussed a case a couple of, I think maybe last week or a couple of weeks ago. I can't quite place my hand on it. We discussed a case, BC Metal, on office romance. And besides, a lot of people send their feedback, how we can prevent or avoid office romance. Some did extraordinarily well, and others I gave feedback. I gave feedback to everybody anyway, those who sent in their suggestion how we can stop office romance, and I really appreciate it. I think I got from about 8 or 9 students, but that's fine. So the case it's talking about office romance, and then Mrs. Johnson reported the incident to one of the owners of the company, and but again, I believe it's not evil because of, first of all, the fear she had. She was not very comfortable, so she even said, I don't know if I'm stepping my bounds. I don't know if I'm going beyond what I'm supposed to do, but I think it's necessary. I think you have to know this. So when you look at the way the situation came in, and again, she had the company at heart, and she also had Lynn Waters' husband at heart. So that is what makes it a necessary evil. Her intention was good, so it was for a greater good. But again, we've twisted the definition of necessary evil because that was not her direct responsibility. But again, I would argue that it is also her responsibility because when you work for a company, you're supposed to worry about the reputation of the company. You're supposed to worry about the life of the company. If the company fails, then everyone loses their job. So it is each and every employee's responsibility to take certain actions if and only if it is for a greater good of the company. So Lynn Walter, Mrs. Johnson, beg your pardon, she did just that. She walked up, reported the incident, again in a very nice way. She did not spread the rumor. She just talked about it, and we didn't hear about her again. So that was a necessary evil. It wasn't evil. Is there any more questions about the necessary evil? So how many people have never ever performed a necessary evil again for the last time? I'm asking. Yeah, even if you haven't at the moment, at some point in time, you must find yourself doing it. When you get married, you do it. Even if you're single, sometimes you do it. When you work, you do it. If you're a manager, you must do it. There is just no way you can be a manager without performing necessary. It just doesn't happen. It's difficult to happen. You can never be a manager. You're going to take drastic decisions. You're supposed to do review. You're supposed to confront situations, and that would make you to perform necessary evil. But again, as what IMTS is trying to do is to help you to make decisions that are not evil, but they are necessary evil. And it's also to help you be able to reconcile what other people are doing with reality. Because you're my friend, I can give my feedback on you. You come to work late. Of course, I'm not supposed to lie. I'm supposed to speak the truth. And if I speak the truth, you're in trouble. So that is a necessary evil. If I don't speak the truth, maybe I'll be in trouble. And by not speaking the truth, it's evil. So it's a situation which we have to try, each and every one of us, to be able to examine carefully. So you just copy this on the whiteboard on your screen. So the first box, number 1, says you briefly describe the situation from your perspective. Any situation you perform necessary evil. The next one says, what was the other person's reaction? The person you were performing the necessary evil on. What was their reaction? Then the next, number 3, is divided into A and B. What was at stake for you personally and professionally? What was in danger? What were you afraid of? Personally and professionally. What was at stake? What were you going to sacrifice? What was worrying? And then the B part says, what was at stake for the other person, for others, including but not limited to the direct recipient of your action? What was at stake for them? Was it insurance? Was it finance? Was it, I don't know, there are lots of things that were at stake. And then the next is, what were your concerns and fears? The 5th, what were your goals? And the last one, were there external pressure? What role did the external pressure play? Okay, so thank you very much. I hope this session was very educational and useful. Again, I look forward to getting more materials in general management and sharing with you. So have a wonderful evening. Well, somebody is raising their hand when the class is coming to an end. It's already some seconds. Anyway, we're going to, you remind me next session so I can give you the opportunity